It's that time of the year where every AniTuber under the sun covers one of three anime. Another, ghost stories, or what's the other one? Oh yeah, that's right, Higurashi. So today I'm gonna become a generic AniTuber and we'll be covering what is considered to many to be a classic in its genre, Higurashi, Season 1. That's right, if you guys want me to talk about Season 2, y'all gonna have to give this video a like and a subscribe, as we are well on our way on what I'm dubbing the road to 20k subs. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. This is Higurashi. Usually, this beginning portion of the video is where I would discuss the objective parts of the show, like the plot, story, and the staff. But I think this is such a well-known anime that there isn't really much of a reason to. The person watching this right now has already either watched it or has decided to never watch it. The reason? This anime is extremely divisive, and for good reason. Many people consider the gore in Higurashi to either be a part of its charm or the main reason they will never watch the show to begin with. I was actually on the latter side of this argument, as I personally didn't like the way they handled the gore and the violence. But after watching all of Season 1, well, I'm left somewhere in the middle of this. For one, Higurashi is not a gore fest. Kinda. In reality, it's a really solid anime with a lot going for it. In particular, the story, mystery, and the excellent setting. With horror and mystery anime, you typically have to have a strong setting to set the stage and tone. The town of Hinamizawa may seem quiet and peaceful, a great tourist attraction, but the town holds many secrets and has a dark past. It twists this peaceful town into a nightmare of a place to live. This plays in really well with the mystery, of course, because it feels like at times the real antagonist of this series isn't the characters, but the town itself. It's like the nature of this place twists and contorts these innocent kids into murdering one another. This is also excellently crafted with the Cotton Drifting Festival, which is a major plot point in the story and a major point in the town's history, but as well is really disturbing once you discover its true nature was to disembowel the people of the town while they're still alive. Yeah, turns out, not about letting cotton drift down a stream. Together, this creates a unique setting and plot, but it needs just one more thing, and this to me is what makes Higurashi one of the most unique and unorthodox horror anime, scratch that, piece of art I've ever seen. This is the time looping mechanic. At the end of each arc, time resets again, and your favorite or less favorite characters are forced to go through hell and back once again, looping forever in an endless summer that climaxes with the death and rebirth of the city itself and its people. To add on to that, the first season is known as the Questions arc, and the second season, the Answers arc, or seasons. The reason for that is Season 2, from what I'm told, explains everything that happened in Season 1 in each arc. But if you're curious to how that works, Season 1 has a part of one of the Questions arcs smushed right dab into the middle of it. Why? I'm not sure. If anything, Higurashi should be noticed for this achievement for making such a unique concept, and for the most part, executing it fairly decently. But while the concept of Higurashi is without a doubt the strongest aspect, the characters are what really made me want to watch episode to episode. While it sucks these characters go through such agony and suffering, they are all pretty well done with maybe one exception. Keiichi in Arc 1 is the highlight of that whole arc though, descending into madness, becoming paranoid because of his friends Rina and Mion who put needles in his food and stalk him, being followed by people in a white van who may be trying to kill him. This drives him to brutally murder Rina and Mion in a lapse of sanity, but it's too late as he was injected by some drug which forces him to claw out his throat, leaving only the left used needle and a piece of paper on a clock. This arc was a simple masterclass of storytelling, and to be honest, I sort of wish I stopped watching there because the mystery and intrigue still has me guessing as to what's going on in Arc 1. It makes my mind race with theories, but I also think there is a beauty to not knowing, letting your mind wander, thinking about what actually happened. In a way, this adds to the horror and the mystery of this arc, so in a sense, I didn't even want to continue on with Season 1 or Season 2. It got me thinking. The last arc, focusing on Rina, is the second strongest of the series, and a great way to end Season 1. To me, Rina was one of the most consistently enjoyable characters of Higurashi. Not only is her sailor uniform unique and stands out, especially in that era of the anime, but it really contrasts well with her giant hatchet that she has. Plus, her personality, when she's not going crazy and stalking Keiichi or murdering people in a junkyard, is rather cute and endearing. She goes all moe blob when she sees something cute, and she just has to take it home with her. This also makes sense. There is a reason you probably see her plastered everywhere. She's just the most visually distinct character, and her personality is so likable you kinda just want to take her home. See what I did there? I did a swappity swap doob. What? But I loved pretty much everything about her. I don't think there was a bad moment in the series for her, which makes her the most consistent out of our characters, from my perspective. As for Mion and Shion, they're kind of hit or miss. I like the ideas of these characters, two sisters who are identical twins. Mion is probably the more outgoing one, a little bit more childish and kind, and Shion is more reserved, maybe a little more mature too. Initially, I even liked Shion more than Mion, but by the end, I think both characters just kind of floundered for me. Mion is fun, but she isn't even in the conversation for my favorite, and Shion is... Okay, I don't like the middle portion of this anime one bit. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about all the things people have controversies about with this series. This is obviously the weakest part of the anime, and it seems many tend to agree with my sentiment, going by some forum posts and comments that I've read. Of course, I must say this includes a part of the Answers arcs, so maybe that's why I think it's as bad as it is. But essentially, the arc starts out like any other. It has an amazing start, actually. Lots of intrigue and mystery, and then by the end, it devolves into absolute madness, where it's revealed in an amazing twist, by the way, that Mion is actually Shion, and she's been torturing her in her descent into madness. And I want to be clear, I liked everything up until probably the last 3 episodes of this arc. What's so bad about this arc, though, is that it becomes an over-the-top shock fest that climaxes in one of the most hilarious things I've seen. I'll explain. Keiichi and Rena figure out Shion is, well, doing what she's doing. They know she's been killing people and that she's not actually Mion. So for some stupid reason, Keiichi and Rena agree that they should just let, Shion and Keiichi go down to the torture dungeon together to be alone because, that makes sense. From there, she tortures everyone in one of the most over-the-top, unneeded, and senseless things in the whole series. She basically stabs Sadako to death, locks Mion in a cave cell, and tosses her down a shaft. Then by the end, she somehow escapes this place and then comes back later that night at the hospital where Keiichi is, and Keiichi somehow agrees to see her even though she herself told her not to get close to them as she would kill him, then kills him and leave, then runs back to her hotel, climbing across the balconies all while manically laughing, goes back to her room, oh wait, her shirt gets caught on nothing, rips, and she falls to her death, manically screaming. Her final moments, she sees Satoshi in the moon and dies? What the fuck? That's hilarious! I'm sorry, but this arc started out pretty decently and ended up being pretty much garbage shock value stuff that's on the level of the Saw films. Not only that, but Rika kills herself with a knife in front of Shion, who's impersonating Mion, who then starts laughing just watching it all. To me, this was, first of all, it was hilarious, but it was also dumb shock value horror at its worst. It was poorly written in terms of how the characters acted, and it was even worse because the payoff was, I don't want to say terrible, but terrible at best. I've never been so flabbergasted at a show doing something as insane as this, but hey, it is what it is. That being said, this arc easily brought the show down a couple notches for me because of how poor it was handled. But now I can tell some commenters will say I'm a wimp for not liking the gore and violence, like it's some chest-beating competition. But the reality is, the gore in Higurashi is over the top and most of the time amounts to cheap shock value that, while is used well in some places, is primarily used poorly. Higurashi is good at being consistently bad at presenting what Higurashi is known for, which is so surprising as the story, mystery, and horror are so damn great. We don't really need to see Rena splitting a guy's head in half. We don't need to see a girl's face smashed in. We don't need to see Rena repeatedly hitting Mion in the head with the handle of her hatchet, while manically laughing. It's so cheesy and over the top. If anything, it ruins the tension of the series to repeatedly show these elements of violence so up front. I think the best examples of gore is the opening scene with Keiichi and Satoshi's bat, and the scene where Rena is cutting people up near the end. Why? Because you don't really see it all up front. It's left to your imagination at the horror that is unfolding. Higurashi's biggest fault, and it's a big one, though I've heard it's much better in season 2 is that it's consistently great at building up tension to then absolutely fumble and never really recover outside of maybe 3 exceptions. The first arc, the last arc, and the arc focusing on Satoko, which even then has a gratuitous scene with Rika being, well, I don't even want to say it. Really, these are my only 2 complaints about Higurashi. I don't really hate the gore, I just hate the way it's presented, and because of that, it ruins a lot of the show for me at times. But for the most part, Higurashi is actually a strong series with a strong story to boot. I'm sure people will disagree with me on the gore, and I'm okay with that because it shows that this anime is making people think and has people engage, and that's what I think the anime does well. And while the gore is mindless, Higurashi is far from mindless as a whole. The story is good, the characters are memorable, and it's all around a fantastic series to watch if you don't mind gore, so I recommend it 100% actually if you don't mind gore. But if you do, you probably want to stay very far away from the anime. As an aside, this anime is also streamable on High Dive, and I think the dub for this anime is worth mentioning as it's very good for its time, and to this day has aged fairly well. It's the way I watch the series, and it will probably, if you guys give this video enough likes, and I watch season 2 and do a video on it, I'll probably watch it dubbed as well. But yeah, it's on High Dive, so go check it out if you're interested. But with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching the video. This is, I think, my 4th year doing a Halloween-themed anime video, or my 3rd year, and I really enjoyed watching through this. I don't think this series is for me, but if this video does get enough likes, I will definitely watch season 2, and yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part, thought it was pretty great, but I want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts about Higurashi Season 1 down in the comments below? What do you think about my video? What do you think about Higurashi and the divisiveness of this series? And as well, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell on the road to 20K, like this video to help it get out into the YouTube land and all the algorithms and stuff, and it helps my channel grow and the video get out to more people, so yeah. Also, I have a Patreon, or on the $1 tier and above, you can get access to everything, and as well, I have a YouTube membership plan thing. You can hit the join button there and become a YouTube member, and I have a Teespring where you can buy merch and support me there. So, thanks guys for watching, I appreciate it, I'll see you later, bye-bye!